All right, everybody, before we get started today, make sure you go to the bigleaguefilmschool.com site and put your little mouse right here over this yes, send me my video. Click on that sucker and enter your email right there. Click on free instant access, and we will send you 3 rockin' tips from an unbelievable cinematographer. Basically, he's going to give you 3 essential things that you need to do on anything that you shoot, and it'll take your game to that next level. This is something that probably every cinematographer, I'm positive, is doing, and you definitely want to get your hands on that. That is presented by Daron Keat, and I put my little spin on his tips so that you guys can kind of understand a little bit more in depth. He presented at the last Cine Summit. At the first Cine Summit. We've had 2 so far. So you can go to vip.bigleaguecinesummit.com if you are interested in checking out. You got down here the 2013 winter and this last one, 2014 spring. Click on either one of those, and you can see all the details of each Cine Summit, and those recordings are still available. Okay, so let's dive in. And today, what I want to talk to you guys about is basically filling in the little details on what I did for this last tutorial that I showed you on how to basically by yourself jump around with a slider and a monopod and get a lot of shots. You don't have much time, and you want to cover the scene with lots of different angles, lots of different lenses, etc., in order for it to be a really, give yourself a lot of good material to work with for the edit. And that's what this is really about. This is, thinking about the edit when you're shooting and when it comes down to it. So I wanted to give you a little sneak peek here on my timeline. I put a little edit together, right? I don't focus on editing and post that much. I like to, but still, I like to have other people who like to focus on that do that part. But I put a little edit together, which you can see below in this blog post, and I'll probably play it at some point as well. In this tutorial, but what I want you to notice is basically how I went about it. What I did was I first did a full take of this gentleman playing the entire song. He knew I was about to film him. I was letting him do his thing, and when I was ready, I told him, "Okay, go for it." And he started from the beginning. He gave me, from the first beat. And what I did was I found my framing, I found my shot. And all I did was slide left to right all day long. I mean, that's all I was doing for basically for the duration of that song. What I did was at around 2 minutes, I'm like, you know what? I think I have enough of this. Even though ideally I would probably want to do that for the entire song so that I can jump in and use any of those that piece at any point. But I knew I had enough. I knew I wasn't trying to do a full edit for the entire 3.5 minute, 4 minute song that he was playing. So I knew after a couple minutes I had enough, and what I did was I picked up my slider, I moved in closer. Let me show you the original footage for that, and you'll see it's 4 minutes long. And basically all I'm doing, I'm going to kind of scroll through this, and you'll see here I am going to the left and then going, whoops, I got to make this sucker a lot so you can see the entire thing. There it is. Now as I'm scrolling through, you'll see left, right, left, right. That's all I'm doing. Left, right, left, right. Now what that's going to do for me is that's going to give me, and here we go. I bounce in. At some point I pick up my tripod. It gets all a little messy. I do not stop the recording so that I have continuous audio. And therefore in the edit, if I want, I can just have that sucker continue to play. And then that area where I jumped around, I'll use the other shots that I have to cover that part. But I reframe there towards the end, and then I start to slide again. I start doing a little bit of slides. Maybe it's not so noticeable, but there's a few slides. And even if I didn't slide too much, I have a new framing there, which I can use. Now that I got my left to right, a few minutes worth, what I did was I took that and I put it on the bottom timeline. If you noticed, this audio is completely no breaks. That is the take right there. And here is the actual footage that goes with that audio, right? It's synced together, obviously. There's a few cuts in here, which I'm not sure why they're there, to be honest. I think it's pretty much one straight take. And all I have done is, if you notice on the next, what do you call this sucker? I don't know the terminology well enough. I don't edit enough. On this next line up here, basically what you have is all the different cuts that I took as I was moving around, and I use that to cover it up. So I have this bass which is this image you see up top, that framing right there. And then I did many other takes. Once we got done with that one full take, I said, okay, let's do it one more time, right? I mean, he was out there all day. I knew it wasn't that big of a bother for him. I said, let's do it again. And as he did it again, that's when I switched lenses, and that's when I really went to town. Basically, I let myself get in real tight and all that kind of stuff. So the song actually starts, this edit at least, the way I did is I started with a close-up, and this is one of the shots that I took not on the first take, right? As you can see, it's a completely different angle. I'm kind of coming off from the right more, not from the left so much. I framed it differently, and there I go. And then, as you can see, if you look down here, the minute I get done with that 3-4 second intro kind of clip, then you see underneath it the main wide shot that's sliding left to right. And then after that, got a clip here on top. Looks like I kind of went back to that, or something similar. And then after that, I got a wide shot. This was like way at the end when he was playing, I think, a completely different song even. I just did a shot with people kind of hovering around him to kind of create the mood of the scene. Because if the whole time it was just like this, it would almost feel like he's out there alone, which is okay. But I thought it would be nice to kind of, make you feel like, we're there, we're in a real place in a city. It's vibrant and people are going around. Now this point of what I just said a moment ago of him playing a completely different song here, that's probably the biggest trick here. When he did the first take and then went back and did a second take, and as I was getting all those different angles and cutaways for the second take, this guy isn't a machine, right? So he's not playing it at the exact same tempo. So how is it all going to fit? Well, that's the beauty of it. You're hearing the audio of the first track. So when I pop in for, say, something like this, what I'm doing is I'm actually just looking for, the song repeats a lot, obviously, right? Even if it's a different moment, there's still so much similarity between one moment and another moment, and it all has the same kind of chords and whatnot and the same rhythm, basically. So I'll just go and I'll look for like a main little note that he's hitting. I'll find a second angle that has that, and I said, oh, great, that matches, that matches, let's say, this section. So I almost kind of did it backwards. I'm doing two things here. What I'm doing is I'm looking for things, the close-ups that I shot that match the original, the wide shot, and then I just layer it on top. Like, so I'm not even really deciding when I'm gonna cut in. I let what I shot determine. I say, okay, hey, this matches really good with this other note that he played here. It's almost the same section. I can use that. And because they're really short, I mean, if we zoom in, you got here, let's see, from 11 seconds to 13 seconds. It's a 3-second shot, this little area right here. So it's very easy to find 3 seconds that match. And that's trick number one. Trick number two is that it doesn't always even have to match. You can't really tell what's going on. Maybe an ultra great musician will be like, hey, he's playing an E chord and I'm hearing a F chord or something crazy like that. But I'm sure the average population, including myself, and I used to be into music pretty heavily, you just can't tell. So as long as it's kind of just on beat, that's the main thing. If you see his fingers like, strumming like crazy, and yet the music is playing something very slow and you can tell that it's only like a few strums, something's off. So that's what you want to make sure. You want to make sure that like the rhythm is the same. Trick number two is that sometimes I found an exact same moment where he's playing, let's say, a certain chord. Let me see if I can find something where we can see his fingers. Where it's really matching as far as what he's playing. But because it's two different takes, the take is off. The timing is off, right? He's playing one at, let's say, if anybody understands what I'm talking about, let's say at 100 beats per minute, right? That's the tempo. So it's like a tack, 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 tack. And then he plays the exact same part, but he's playing it a little bit slower, like tack, 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 tack. So it doesn't quite match up. So, I mean, because I'm not using the audio for this other take, all you got to do, and I think this might be an example of it. Nope, this is at 100%. Is you just go in there and you change the timing. Change the. Well, I got to find one where it's actually like that. But trust me, I did it. I would just go in there and I would change the timing of it. And if I could find one, that would be nice. But anyway, believe me, I did it a couple of times. I would change the clip speed from 100% to like 92 or something like that until it just kind of matched up just enough. Remember, you're into the piece. You're not really watching every stroke and what he's playing. You're just kind of feeling that it goes together. It's kind of obvious when the music is playing one thing and his fingers are doing completely different thing. But when it's pretty dead on, it's okay. And trick number 3 or 4, I don't know what I'm up to, is that as long as that first note is like bam right on, so when you cut to it, it's hitting the exact same note as you're hearing. If what follows isn't exactly right on, you kind of are tricked into believing like it's still the same thing. So, I mean, these are all tricks for this particular instance, right? With when it's a music piece and you're by yourself and you want to catch all these angles. But I found myself a lot of times in this scenario, and this is how I get around it. So there's mainly two. The main point here of the approach is to get that one take where it's just really you're just going back and forth, and that gives you something to always go to. Problem is you don't want to watch left and right all day long of the same scene, so you got to have a lot of material to cut into. And in my case, I didn't do the greatest job in framing, and here's a perfect example. If you look here at this, right here in this section, you see this black thing sticking out. That really bugs me big time. I wish I kind of was cut in a little bit more so that wasn't in the shot, but it keeps kind of creeping into my left and right, and that's why I'm covering that up a lot so that I'm using just more of the section where it's where the ugliness that was in the frame is not in the shot. And here's another couple things that you should pay attention to. The cutaways that you're looking for, right after you got done with the first take, you don't want to always film like this shot right here where you see his fingers, because then it needs to match it perfectly. You want to do plenty of shots where it's like this, or you can't even see the bottom hand, you only see the top hand, and that could be almost, I could cut this in anywhere, and I have a few of those. This can be cut in anywhere, obviously. That's going to be a little bit tougher. That can be cut in everywhere. So you want to get a lot of these shots. Hindsight being 2020, I would have done a couple more of these kind of shots, like maybe even from behind him. So just something that will give me more material where I can drop it in anywhere and really help me save my butt on certain instances. So that in general is the way I went about it. In also hindsight being 2020, I wish I would have gotten a little bit more of these just beauty shots of the environment. This one was a money shot. If I would have done a few more of those, that would have really given me even more things to kind of just draw you into the scene and give me more opportunities to not be forced to see the wide shot the entire time. So all in all, that's about what I've done. I didn't do too much editing of the music, but that's also another trick, is that basically, because the song repeats itself, you can easily cut the music and cut and paste and put it together. I did a little bit in this full piece. I basically jumped all the way to the end, and that kind of posed a problem because I needed to see that ending kind of moment that he had, and unfortunately I didn't have a good frame, and it was kind of shaky when I shot that. So I have this here at the end where he's kind of doing that end last note, but right before it when he's actually strumming it, I didn't quite get. So it created a problem for me to find how to cut into this ending. And the only way I did that was by giving me a shot of his just being in the moment, and I don't think anybody knows and can tell that this isn't the end. It could be the end. It could be any moment, right? But when you're into the piece, you're just kind of just enjoying it, and then all of a sudden it cuts to this ending, which is him just kind of like that at the end of that last drum holding it. So I got lucky to get that. That's the bottom line. I didn't plan on that. I was lucky enough that in that first take where I was sliding back and forth, that I pulled back out and just long enough to kind of hold on him, and right when he came to the end, because I had no idea when the end was coming. Right? I mean, this song is very repetitive, and I had no idea when it was coming. So that's the deal. I plan. No promises, but I hope to be able to get into how I did the color. What you're seeing right here on the screen is not the grade. Here is the actual grade, and you can see it looks quite different, and I love it. I'm sure there's a million people out there that could do even a better job. There's some things that I would change about it, but I just couldn't spend, all my life doing the grade. And there's a lot of things I would change about it, but it was good enough for my purposes, and I liked it, and it gave it a nice feel. So that's the deal there. I'll show you how I did that. I basically did it in After Effects, layering, and you can see here's the bottom. From here to here are the actual files, and from here to here are all the layers that I did. We'll get into that, and that's basically how I sent it. Whoops, let's go back to Premiere. I sent it to After Effects, which is what you're seeing here, this long guy right here. After I sent all of this to After Effects, then basically I have this new timeline right there. And if I just turn that on, you'll see that this will change because now that's on top. That's just taking a moment for it to do it. Anyhow, we'll get into that in another tutorial on the grading aspect of it for those who are interested. But this was the main thing I wanted to show you, how the tutorial that I showed you on the slider and the monopod, how it actually was usable in the edit and etc. Because that's what it comes down to, is that I'm shooting keeping in mind that this thing needs to be edited in the end of the day, right? You always have to keep that in mind. Whether or not you're doing the edit or not, the director and the editor are gonna love you when you give them what to work with. And if all I did was give, if it wasn't me, give just a wide shot and maybe one or two kind of close-ups, they'd be dead in the water. You just couldn't do a minute piece here. This I managed to do almost a minute and a half, minute and 20-second piece by myself, which is, it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with those results. So, all right, as usual, get out there, do what you got to do. And this is Aviv Vanna with Big League Film School. And I will see you on the next post. Take it easy.